Was Gucci, it is your boy Killer Delphia, and today I got in the house with me Jess, Brohard. Hey,
Hello.
let's go.
How's it going?
It's going pretty good. How's everything going with you?
Everything is amazing. I've been having a really nice week now. I know we were, just chatting before recording started. Been having a nice week adjusting back from the travel of CDL. So, which was crazy. It was awesome to be back on land, but it's a little different having to actually travel there than doing all these remote things. It's a lot more exhausting, but we're good now.
Absolutely. And that was the first event coming out of the CDL, right? I mean, not the CDL, I'm sorry, coming out of the pandemic, right?
Yes, exactly. So it was the first event it was a return to land, the first time in, I think, 467 days.
Wow.
Is the number that they gave us. So yeah, because during the Modern Warfare season is when everything went remote. I think they had done 2 or 3 events. I can never remember how many before, they had to pivot and go remote. And then, of course, the Black Ops Cold War season started remote, and then now with Major 4, which was the 4th one, obviously that's why they call it Major 4.
Mm-hmm.
They returned to LAN, and it was no spectators, of course, and it was players and broadcast staff. And then as far as talent, I was actually the only talent because I'm interviewing the players, so I have to be there in person if the players are. So all the casters, the hosts, the analyst, Lottie, Nameless, all the wonderful casters, unfortunately had to still be remote. And so that was a big bummer. And I know, obviously I heard a lot of viewers expressing their strong opinions, which I don't disagree with. That, yeah, it is a shame that the other talent couldn't be there on site, but I don't make the rules. Yeah. And, it's unfortunate. Hopefully for Major 5 or for Champs, hopefully for Major 5, the other talent will be able to join on site. But again, I don't make the rules.
Yeah, Jess doesn't make the rules. So listen, guys out there, don't come for Jess.
I don't want that responsibility, okay?
What got you into casting esports?
Yeah, so I got into esports while I was already working in gaming. I was already working as a host. So I worked for Curse starting in March 2013. And I did kind of general gaming videos, gaming content for their YouTube channel. I was video host / manager / producer, something like that was my job title. I don't even remember. So my full-time job was just making videos, kind of gaming news updates and such. And while I was working there, I was already really interested in competitive gaming. I was already interested in Dota. And I decided all right, I've had a really cool career working for Curse so far, but what I really want to do next is more live esports stuff instead of edited, pre-recorded, heavily produced content surrounding general gaming. So I started a series for Curse's YouTube channel that was all about Dota 2. And that's kind of how I sort of made my way into the space. I just kind of forced my way in. I was just here's some content. And then fortunately, some tournament organizers and such started picking me up and giving me little freelance offers to do little hosting gigs here and there. And I think there were 1 or 2 that I ended up having to turn down because I was full-time job with Curse and couldn't according to my contract, take a freelance job on top of that. And then one came along that was a big month and a half long event that I was oh, okay. I've been wanting to do a freelance and I already have an agent. I had gotten myself an agent while I worked for Curse. And I was all right, this will be my jumping off point, my kind of leap of faith into freelance esports. So I quit my job at Curse after about a year and a half there. And then, started just doing esports stuff. So, yeah, so since 2014 or so, then I've been in esports.
Wow, that is an amazing way to start off a career in esports.
It's been fun.
Yeah. I can tell it's fun being up there interacting with, different people from all over and, all the players and stuff like that. But could you tell me a little bit more about isn't Dota is dead or alive, right? Or something like that?
Oh, no, Dota is Defense of the Ancients. It's a MOBA. Yeah. So
I'm sorry, I got my games mixed up.
Yeah, no, that's okay. And especially if you aren't, it's so funny because you're demonstrating to me something that is so funny about esports, which is as interconnected as esports can be, it's so closed off in some ways. Some of the scenes are so insular in that the Rainbow Six scene. Okay, so I've done a little bit of hosting for the Rainbow Six Siege competitive scene, the North American League. And there's just this whole flirt. I had no idea, because I was over here and going from Dota to COD, bouncing around with a few little things in between. And like, I had no idea that Rainbow Six was that big as far as a competitive esport. Like, I didn't know any of the casters. And then once I started meeting them, I'm like, these people have large followings. Like, they work full-time in esports, my industry that I've been in since 2014, and I've never heard of them. Like, it's insane.
Absolutely.
So, and yeah, you just kind of prove that with like, you know, I know you're probably in this like COD bubble, and you know, and then also just how COD, historically speaking, has been a console game, and then Dota obviously is like a heavy PC game. And personally, like, I was always more of a PC gamer, so now that COD is on PC, I'm like, best thing to happen in a while.
Facts.
But because there's like really no bleed over between like Dota or like League of Legends and like Call of Duty, you know? Like, there's a lot of crossover between like Call of Duty and the Overwatch League, for instance, because obviously like they're both run by Activision Blizzard and they're both shooters, and so there's just so much crossover in terms of like the players and the casters even. But then like Dota and like COD are just so far apart.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and I hate for it to be like that. I am someone that likes to play multiple different games, and I like to venture off into, you know, CS:GO occasionally, you know, a lot of different games. But yeah, I am mainly Call of Duty. I am trying to branch off into other esports, but you know, I'm just not as knowledgeable about, you know, a lot of other games because I grew up on Call of Duty.
Oh, sure.
Yep. But have you ever played Call of Duty competitively?
No. Oh my God, no. Like, I've entered like one or two like Warzone tournaments that were like women's events, like and they were not qualifying events, you know, they were like invite only, but no, I've never actually like competed at COD. I've never ever been like, you've played with me before, like I'm pretty sure you and me and Jordan Daly have grouped up a couple times.
Absolutely.
And, like, compared to you guys, like I am just so like bottom of the barrel, and it's like really kind of crazy to play with you guys because
I'm nothing
like,
special.
I'm just like basically trying to keep my head above water. So
I understand, and it's just crazy because when I'm playing with like the other guys, that's how like I feel when I'm playing with them.
Oh yeah, it's all relative. That's so funny.
Yeah, so I'm nothing special when it comes to Call of Duty.
I mean, compared to me though, like it's like how like when I was in first grade, I thought the second graders were like so big and old and tall and grown up, and then like now I'm like, oh, they're all just children. Yeah. And so
but so what got you, like, what was your first gaming event that you like casted for? Do you remember?
So before esports and such, like I mentioned, I worked for Curse, and before that I also had this little like internship for Ubisoft. So what I think of as my sort of the start of my career, or my like very first event ever, was PAX East 2010. Because I was interning for Ubisoft at the time. They had a team of all-female competitive gamers called the Frag Dolls, and they had this internship program that they created called the Frag Doll Cadet Academy, and it was basically for 6 months. You were basically like a baby Frag doll, and so, which by the time they developed that program, it was no longer really like a competitive team. It was more of like a marketing team for Ubisoft, and so they would do things like go to events like PAX East, E3, just a ton of events. They were basically like an events-based marketing team, and they would like help to, you know, demo the upcoming Ubisoft titles. So PAX East 2010, I was demoing an Xbox 360 MOBA called Ruse.
Wow.
And and like, which was like kind of a crazy concept because it was like, not a MOBA, a real-time strategy. And so that's why I like, which is kind of weird because like real-time strategy is generally kind of a PC thing. Absolutely. But it had this whole like advanced control system, and that was kind of my job. The number one part of my job for that event was being like, Liz, here's why you should try this controller-based RTS. So anyway, yes, that's what I think it was my very first event.
That's cool. Wow. You took it way back. So,
I know.
So what I want to like really like ask, you know, someone from like, you know, the esports scene and everything like that, how did you build like the confidence to go out there and speak in front of like hundreds and thousands of people in the crowd?
That's a really good question. I think that's a question that I've never really gotten before, is the funny thing. And I really like that. I would say experience. And so I know it's kind of that's why I think this industry and this profession in general is so difficult to get into because it's one of those things that like there's so much you don't know until you do it. And it's not even terms like no matter how much people can tell you, because like the question I always get asked is like, how do you deal with the trolls? And it's like there's a million things that you can say about that. But as far as like, and there's a million things you can tell someone else about that. But as far as like the actual experience of like being up there, maybe like on stage in front of people with like all the lights and like people in the crowd and like in a live production environment, until you actually do it, like you have no idea what it's actually going to be like or like how you're going to react. So like, and it's funny because like my first like live event really that I did would have been the TI4 EU hub, which basically means it was like this like month and a half long event covering the qualifying matches leading up to the International 4, which was the it's the big flagship Dota competitive event each year. And so that was kind of a little bit of a different environment because it was a lot more of a relaxed broadcast. And so like I guess here's how I would put it, is that was almost a like testing the waters, you know, because I got like, it was a really nice like introduction because there were so many things about like a live actual like stage hosting environment that are different than that production environment was. And yet it got me used to like a lot of things that I had never done before. So it was really, really cool experience for that reason. And then later on, when I did have my first, like, I think my first like live stage event that I hosted would have been like a DreamHack event in late 2014. I did only like two DreamHack events, and they were both like late 2014 or early 2015. And I can never remember because like this is a very long time ago at this point, of course. But like by the time I got to do that actual first live event on stage, it was like, oh, like I've done this before, you know? So I don't know. I hope that kind of answers the question, or that like somebody was able to glean like some wisdom from that.
Did. That was very like in depth, and I like that on this show because you know the short answers don't really last long, and you know we have to get through this and make this thing entertaining, you know, for my supporters and your supporters as well. So thank you for the in-depth answers. I don't get that a lot, but
good. I talk a lot because I talk for a job. So
talking is life. Living. But how do you feel about the current state that Twitch is in, as far as like the hot tub streamers and everything like that?
I have so many thoughts and opinions on that, and I think my main thing is like I heard another streamer echoing it, and I can't remember her name but I'm gonna have to look her up and like message you who it was, because I saw a clip of her on Twitter. She had basically said like everything that I kind of thought but wasn't really super able to put into words. And like, so part of it is I think that the hot tub content has brought in a new demographic of viewer that is not interested in the content that Twitch has that outside of the hot tub streams. There is a demographic of viewer that is now here on Twitch expecting basically pornographic content, because it's disingenuous to pretend that we don't know what people are doing, what consumers of this content are doing with it. And I think there are exceptions, but if you look at on the whole, like we all know there were two examples. I don't like to name names, even though we all know who they are. There were two streamers that were being honestly very sexually explicit. And it's almost like I kind of hate to cry like, oh, they ruined it for the rest of us. But again, it feels as though they have brought in a new demographic that now expects that content wherever on Twitch they go. They associate Twitch with that type of content. So maybe if they were to come across my stream where they're not going to see that type of content, they might be toxic in my chat. And like, that's not really a big deal. I can handle that on like an individual basis, but it just also doesn't feel like the type of content that I would like my content to be alongside. So
absolutely. That definitely answered my question, and thank you for, handling that very well and answering that question, to your best ability.
Yeah. Well, and because I think, to be clear also, like, I don't disagree with, like, I think if people want to use platforms like OnlyFans, and if people do want to sell pornographic content, they have that prerogative, and I think that they should be able to do that. But I think that type of content doesn't belong on Twitch, and like it's I guess at best it's a shift in the wrong direction, I would say.
Yes, it is. It's definitely a shift in the wrong direction, and I agree with you. I personally feel like Twitch is for gaming and for gamers, and that kind of content should be on another site, because now it's bringing in a whole different demographic of people and that are expecting a lot of different things to see from content creators like us. That, you know, we don't put that kind of stuff out there because Twitch is, you know, for us to display gaming.
Yeah, and I guess somebody put it a really nice way, and again, I feel bad, I can't remember who to give credit to for this, but it's like how, okay, so OnlyFans, like, if I think of OnlyFans, I think of mature pornographic content. And I didn't even like realize, technically, OnlyFans is not like for porn, right? Like OnlyFans is for content, but it allows 18 plus rated content. So because of that, everybody comes in with their 18 plus content and becomes associated with that, to the point where I even, like, who I consider myself an educated, intelligent person, I hear OnlyFans and I think porn. And so I kind of feel like maybe that's a good comparison with the direction that Twitch is heading, in that, like, yeah, Twitch is not for porn, but if there is so much of that content and Twitch is promoting it that heavily in terms of like not running ads on that type of content and stuff, then again, it's like a shift in that direction. Like technically OnlyFans is the same as Patreon, it's just that they allow porn. So it's like, okay, well now Twitch is essentially like YouTube Live, except that Twitch also allows porn. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going too far in one direction or not.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I get it, and we're on the same page with everything that's going on with the current state of Twitch. But just another question to switch everything up.
Okay.
Do you think there will ever be a female COD team in the CDL?
That's a really good question. I think, yeah, eventually. But, you know, as far as like in the near future, probably not in the next 5 years, maybe in the next 10 years. You know, we've seen other major organizations further backing behind. I mean, CLG has for a while now had female Counter-Strike teams. And I know there are other examples, but I can't think of any currently. I know there's been I think there's, Cloud9, C9 White. Yes, I think it's called C9 White, a women's Valorant team.
Oh, that's cool.
I believe. Yeah, and then there's like maybe a third one, or I know of like a mixed gender team. But anyway, so there is kind of like starting to be precedent for like major organizations to support all female teams, which obviously I think is a wonderful thing. But I think that, I don't know, that would be very interesting.
It would be. I feel like it would be exciting to see.
What do you think?
I feel like it'd be exciting to see, you know, just some female players out there just holding it down.
Why not, right?
Yeah, okay, why not?
Here's the other thing. I have to say, like, from an advertiser's perspective, like, that's pure fucking gold, isn't it? Like, there would be so much, even if they're terrible, no matter how this women's team plays, like, people would talk about it, okay? And that's what you want. And so, like, they could just make bank off of advertising, because advertisers would like the big names would want to sponsor them. And I think it'd be a great thing. And I think, like, if you look at I don't know. You know, if you look at the CDL as it is, it's kind of like, okay, well, we have these like predetermined teams, rather than having there be like some sort of like, you know, competition tryout ranking thing. It's like, okay, these 12 teams are in, so like, why not? Why not have a 13th team or whatever? Yeah,
why not? Hey, it won't hurt to try. It could bring in a whole different demographic of fans and, you know, womanhood and everything that comes behind, you know, women. You know, a lot of people really support women in esports, and I feel like this is something that, you know, would be able to shift esports into a different direction for the future.
Yeah, totally. Yep. It's going back to, it's a step in the right direction. And like, even if it is like, because you'll see, I don't know, like, even if it is just for like the PR of it, like, why not? Like, it would make a lot of women out there feel really good, and honestly, it would make more like wives and girlfriends out there maybe go, oh, so that game that you're already always playing. Oh, you're telling me there's a women's team too. Okay, well maybe now I'll actually want to watch the CDL, and maybe now I'll actually want to play COD and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, because I'll tell you right now, my wife, she doesn't really know anything about Call of Duty, but
really,
besides the fact that I play, and
that's so funny.
And I feel like if there was like a female team out there, then she'd be able to get a better understanding about it, because women understand how women work.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yep. But do you have any pets?
Yes, I have 2 small dogs.
Okay.
They're wonderful.
What are their names?
So I have a dachshund named Winston. We call him Winnie. And then I have she's a Chihuahua Rat Terrier mix named Ella, which is short for Cruella, because she's black and white, like Cruella DeVille.
Hey.
Babes.
Wow. Which one is that one on the left, the brown one?
So this one is Winston. He's a dachshund. You see how he's a wiener dog?
Yeah, I had one of those. Cute. Hey, Winston.
You have one of those?
No, I had one of those. Like when I was.
One.
Yeah.
And then that's Ella.
What kind of dog is she again?
She is a Chihuahua Rat Terrier mix.
Wow, I have a long-haired Chihuahua now.
Do you really? Chihuahuas are so cute. Is yours mean? They have a reputation for being mean.
No.
Good.
Her name's Remy. She is like the sweetest dog ever.
Good. Yeah. Ella's really sweet also, but
she's kind of territorial.
Is she?
Yeah, she kind of like weirded out by like people sometimes. So like when we have company, she'll like bark at them sometimes. Oh, yeah. But she's not mean.
I think that's a small dog thing.
Yeah.
Both of my dogs are the same way. Like they're really nice once they get to know someone, but like they will bark a lot, like at strangers.
I think it's just like the whole stranger thing. Like, who is this? Yeah. Like, why are you in here? Like, where'd you come from? Like, I never saw you before. But yeah, how did you balance like working in esports and going to like school or anything like that?
Well, timing wise, I got pretty lucky in that. So, when I was interning for the Fragdolls, I was in college. It was my senior year of college. And so that was like obviously a very like part-time commitment. So it didn't really get in the way of school or anything. And then I graduated, I had like a full-time day job. But I wanted to work in esports full-time. So like, that's the only, like, only for like, I mean, I got really, really lucky that I only had to do this for like 1 year out of college. But that's kind of what I guess I'll talk about is like, finding balance in my life of I had a full-time day job, and then I would come home in the evenings and just make I would host videos for my YouTube channel that I was like trying to obviously get a full-time hosting job off of, and that's what ended up leading to my hosting job with Curse. That's how I got that job. So it worked out. But for a year, I would work for 8 hours during the day and then come home and then work for like 4 to 5 hours during the evening. And it was like terrible. And I did not there was no semblance of balance in my life, because it was just, if I wasn't working for my day job, I was working for my, passion job that I was hoping to turn into my day job. And like, it was a miserable year of my life. I mean, there was so much going on as far as like mental health issues, and like something I've spoken pretty publicly about is I'm a recovering alcoholic. So like I stopped drinking almost 3 years ago now. But that year, 2011 was like really bad as far as like my drinking and everything goes. And I mean, that's how alcoholism works. So it just gets worse and worse and worse. It doesn't really ever get better, but like, that was how I was managing, I would say. So I wasn't balancing anything, and it was very unhealthy, and like, I was miserable. But what kept me going was the idea that it wouldn't be like this forever, that eventually I would hopefully get a full-time job in esports and then not have to like grind so much. And, it's still a grind once you get in, but, yeah, it was terrible. I didn't balance it very well.
Congratulations on staying sober and
Thank you.
being a positive advocate against that, because I can see that, in this community, there's a lot of things that people usually tend to go to because they don't really have the outlet. But thank you for being a voice and a positive advocate for that.
Yeah, and I
uplifting
mean,
people.
it's very like, you know, and I don't know how much I really should say publicly as far as like we know what's going on in the COD scene currently with a few players who have spoken out about you know, Adderall, and I don't know the like technical term for it because I don't really know anything about that, like class of drug or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's probably like addictive in the same way that like anything can be addictive. Okay, so like obviously there are certain substances, alcohol is one of them, that do have a propensity for being very physically addictive. But you can get addicted to anything. You can get addicted to, like, psychologically, you can become dependent on, you know, a certain game. Honestly, you know, people have ruined their lives over World of Warcraft addictions. Like, that's real. We've all heard about that. And I think though that like things like alcohol are if you are a heroin addict, nobody is going to be encouraging you unless they're also an addict. Like nobody's advertising, hey, come get some heroin, right? But like alcohol is like accepted and encouraged, you know? And especially in the game industry, it's like, so like that's one thing that kind of kept me in denial for so long, was because like, you know, like I just said, like, okay, 2011 was a bad year for my drinking, but then 2012 is when I got into gaming full time. And like, and it's funny because I think, you know, even saying it out loud, I realized like you know, I look back, and so at the time I think, okay, 2011 was really bad for my drinking, and then 2012 and on wasn't so bad. But realistically, no, it's just that I got into the game industry in 2012. And so I would look around and I would see other people getting wasted at industry parties and like behaving like idiots. Yeah. And so like I wasn't puking at these parties, you know, I wasn't getting into fights. So I thought I was doing okay because like, you know, I would see people puking and getting into fights and I would go, all right, well, that's what alcoholism looks like. That's what a problem drinker looks like. So, you know, and because like these events are all about like seeing what parties you can get into that have like open bars and free booze, and it's just, and that's where like the real work happens. And like, you know, after now I've come out on the other side and I go to events and I just completely skip the industry parties, not because of like, you know, now fortunately, blessedly being 3 years out from my drinking days, you know, alcohol is no longer any sort of like trigger for me. You know, I can be in the presence of, you know, alcohol and I can go to bars and it doesn't bother me, but it's just also not very fun, you know, because you're sitting there and you're just like drinking your Sprite and you're like, wow, it's really loud in here. And these guys are, these people are just like, what am I going to drink next? And I don't know. So I just skipped the parties and my career is still doing okay. That's my one little preachy moment of like, because that's what I always hear. And to some degree, I really believed it. And to some degree, I still kind of believe it. They always say like, okay, you know, you go to E3 or whatever and you work on the show floor all day and then the real work begins at night because you do all your networking at these parties and you have to rub elbows with people, and you know, and like that is not true. Maybe I'm just fortunate that I'm far enough along in my career that I don't have to do that anymore, or maybe I never had to do it all along and that was just the alcohol telling me that I thought I did. But regardless, I would like to say you do not have to party if you don't want to. But if you want to, please be responsible. Facts.
Be responsible out there, and if you're not 18, then you know, definitely, no, it's 21, right? You're not 21.
21, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I never was like a club person either myself. I just always felt like it was something like weird about the environment that I would be in. I'm in a club just, you know, watching people get wasted and fighting and arguing, talking super loud. And I'm just like a laid back person. And I just always like felt out of my element when I would be in those type of environments. So that's something that people won't catch me in or either as well.
Yeah, it's not for everyone.
No, it's definitely not for everyone. So this is a fun question. When you play video games, how often do you rage?
Oh my God, a lot. But like a lot. Okay, I say dramatically unkind things when I'm raging. Like, okay, so like for some reason I always do, like I blame the game, and like I don't actually blame the game, but like I do. I'm always like anytime someone's like doing really, really well, I'm always like, that guy's hacking. I'm gonna fucking I'm reporting that guy. He's fucking hacking. He's either hacking or he's smurfing, and if he's smurfing, then that is against the terms of service, and that is cheating. That is a bannable offense, and I'm gonna fucking report him. So Activision Blizzard takes action. And like, I report, and then I feel a little bit better, and they're probably not hacking, but maybe they are. Who knows?
No cap. I'm the same way. If someone like shoots at me, I'm like, he's hacking.
Yeah, I'm like, there's no possible way you could see me. Like, I was completely undercover and I know it. No, I don't know that map. Like,
yeah, I know, right? It's like in denial. It's like, it's no way I'm this bad and this person's like this good.
Yeah. And then I step away from the game and like 10 minutes later, I'm like, this is a fucking video game. Why am I getting so emotionally involved? Like, it does not matter. If I had won that game, if he hadn't killed me there, like, my life would be the same. So why am I getting so worked up?
Then I'm worried about like saying the wrong things. I don't want to destroy like my support base, and I don't want to put out like no type of content that it might offend people by the rage.
Right. Right, because you're not that type of channel. You're not that type of content.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep it a little positive. Yeah. But we all rage. It's a part of being a gamer, essentially.
It really is. Yeah.
We can't control it.
Yeah.
We can, but we can't. But another fun question.
Okay.
As you know, I just got verified about like last week, 7 days ago.
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you. It's exciting, but at the same time, it's fake. I noticed how many people hit me up ever since that I became verified. Like, people that I would never, like, get a chance to interact with. I'm being able to interact with these people at the drop of a dime, at the press of a button.
There's power in the check mark, and so like, I don't know if it's because I am more of like an introverted person or what, but like I never like expect to like say anything and have anyone like take me seriously or something. And like, when I like follow someone on Twitter, it's usually because it's like, oh, I don't know, like okay, like a lot of times I will follow like, a band or like a musician that I enjoy their music. And like, once I got verified, they would a lot of times like follow me back, because I'm assuming they get like the push notification, of like at Jess Brohard followed you, and like they don't know who I am, but then they look at my profile and they see the check mark, and so a lot of times they follow me back, and then it always like catches me off guard, because I'm like no, I wasn't, like, it almost scares me. Like, I'm like, I wasn't ready to be your friend, okay? I was just going to be like your fan. But now, like, and then sometimes they talk to me and I get so terrified, and I'm like, it's a lot of pressure. So good luck. I hope that doesn't happen to you. But
but I'm pretty sure a lot of people have been following me that, like I said before, when I wasn't verified or anything like that, a lot of people have been following me, and a lot of people have been reaching out. I'm not going to say any names or anything like that, but I'm just like, wow, like, the check mark does have a lot of power behind it. But when you first got verified, how did you feel?
Well, I wasn't expecting it, because I ended up getting, I felt good about it, obviously, but like, it must have been during the Black Ops 4 season of Call of Duty, and one of the PR people for the Call of Duty League submitted a request to verify all of the like talent. And so like, I didn't even know that was happening, and that I just literally like one day looked at my profile and saw like a check mark, and I was like, what the fuck? And then I like saw a bunch of other like or maybe someone had tweeted at me and let me know, I'm not even sure. And then I like looked at my feed, my timeline, and I saw a bunch of other people, like all the other codcasters and stuff who weren't already verified, like tweeting about how they got verified. And I was like, oh, okay, so we must have like gotten, and then found out later that like, yes, that's what happened.
That's so cool.
It was a cool moment, because I was like, I wasn't expecting that. I didn't ask for this. And like, I feel like I have a lot of feelings about being verified, which is that like, okay, so kind of like how a lot of people like chase Twitch partnership, and they almost have this, maybe like, they're not going to say this, but they almost have this like mentality that like it will solve all their problems.
Facts.
And it's like, realistically, like, your life is going to be the same whether or not you have that check mark there. Like, I know people who do fucking fantastic work who are not verified on Twitter, and then I know total blowhards who are. So it's like it's kind of meaningless. you know, the check mark. Like, it's like, yeah, I know I just went on and on about like all the nice things, like, oh, famous people follow you back or whatever. But like at the end of the day, like my life has not really changed in any meaningful way, because it's like, you know, I felt like I was pretty confident in my work before that, and I'm pretty confident in my work now. And like, if you're not maybe getting as much work as you want or whatever, like I don't think a check mark is going to help that. I don't know. There's just people chase the check mark, and I just think that there are other things they could be chasing instead.
Facts. They could be chasing, you know, more content, or just going hard in a field that, you know, they should be going hard in, instead of just chasing a platform. And I'm really like heavy into like God, and you know, and one of my pastor was preaching a sermon about how if you chase platforms, then that's not like the right way to do it. So I always kept in mind that, you know, I'm just going to be like humble no matter what I do, because at the end of the day, people are going to see, you know, work. People are going to see if you actually have the talent. So a check mark doesn't really justify who you are as a person. And I feel like a lot of people out here, they chase that check mark thinking that that's going to bring them some type of like justification to who they are and who they contribute to in this world. So that's my whole like thing about it.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. And it's like maybe that isn't. Maybe it's like I mean, obviously it must be like a pride thing and an ego thing, but like it's at the end of the day, like you are the only person that you really need to impress, because you're the only person that you have to live with for your entire life. And like these same people whose approval you crave, like is it, I don't know, is it Twitter that you want approval from? Like, is it you want whoever founded Twitter to notice you or whatever? Well, what if like tomorrow he goes and tweets something that you completely disagree with, like, and yet you still so desperately craved the approval from the platform that he created? And like, why are you, I don't know, just like, I don't know, just make yourself happy. Just be happy with yourself.
Yeah, facts. So that's our word of advice to people out there that don't have a check mark that might want one. Trust me, like I said before, having a check mark is so fake in my opinion, just because of those reasons. But I'm not gonna lie, when I got it, it was one of the most exciting feelings ever. I was in Staples, I was printing out some documents, and I'm in line, and only thing that I see on my phone, I don't have notifications on. Ever since like I like kind of like started getting a lot of notifications, I kind of turned them off. But I don't have notifications for Twitter. I have to check my Twitter. So once I check my Twitter, I'm standing in line in Staples and I see verify has followed you. And I'm like, then it says like you are now verified, and then I go to it and then it says no, this is not a dream, you're actually verified. And I'm like, what? Like, no way. And you know, I'm in a public place. I'm not trying to like go super crazy, go hard, and you know, I'm not trying to like be super like out of line. So I'm just trying to contain myself while I'm in line. And when I get in the car, I literally put on my favorite song, and I'm just like, I'm going so hard. I'm so happy, and you know, like, but it was short-lived. 3 days later, I'm like, wow, like I got a check mark. All right, cool. Like, whatever. Like, it was just something normal.
And the other thing is, it's also like, okay, well, what's next?
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like you find, it's kind of like you wanted that for so long, and then now you're like, oh, well, that's it.
Yeah.
Cool. You know, there's like one additional symbol next to my name. Yeah. And then like, yeah, like,
I'm like, does this come with $1 million as well?
Right. Well, that's so funny also that like, because you know, maybe they change, maybe it's different now, because I got verified like 3 years ago now. And so I know the process has changed, because when I got verified, it was not, now there's like a process you can actually apply for it, right? I don't think you could request verification in 2018. I think it was more like, you had to know someone, you know, for instance, like our PR guy knew the Twitter, you know, verification team or whatever.
Way harder back then.
And like, but it's so funny that Twitter goes, no, this isn't a dream. you're really verified. So they're literally telling you what you want, and they're telling you what to chase, and they're telling you like this is what you should be dreaming about. And then frankly, if you think about it, like if you're literally like you're so wrapped up, like you're having dreams that you get verified on Twitter, like that's really sad. That's not like a good thing to chase. Like, okay, so I guess here's like a small anecdote. Okay, so when I mentioned that I was an intern for the Frag Dolls. And so at the time, this would have been like 2010, being a Frag Doll was like a full-time job. And so it's the ultimate job that I wanted. I'd wanted to do that job since like 2008, like it was like during college. And then finally in 2010, this like internship opportunity opened up. And so like, when I got that, I was all excited because I was like, okay, great. Maybe I can work my way into like, when they go to hire the next Frag Doll, like the full-time employee, they're going to pick from these pool of these girls that have become their cadets, have like done that work for them. And so like, I wanted that so badly to the point of I was literally on a regular basis having dreams that I got a call being like, yeah, so-and-so's retiring and we want you to be the next Frag Doll. We're like promoting you. We're calling you up to do this full-time job. And every morning when I would wake up and that wasn't true, I would feel fucking miserable and depressed and like, it just really wasn't healthy. And like, guess what? Like, I didn't ever end up becoming a Frag Doll. And yet here I am still doing the career that I hoped I would have. Exactly. And like, it's just, I guess my point in telling that story is just like, I thought that one specific thing would make me happy and that would lead to everything else I ever wanted. And I also thought that it was the only thing that would make me happy. The only way for me to be happy was to be a Frag Doll. And like, yeah, I did spend a couple of years being pretty miserable, but like I came out on the other end and like, hey, have this awesome career that like 10 or 12 years ago me would have like died for. And the thing that I thought I wanted didn't end up working out. So like, if you're not getting verified, like, again, ask yourself, like, would this actually fix any of the problems in your life? And if not, like, go fix those problems. Go put your energy there. Yep.
We're telling you, ladies and gentlemen, that being verified isn't like something that's like life-changing. It does mean that you're represented as some type of celebrity or whatever the case may be. It may give you a cool thing next to your name, but that's pretty much all it is. Still just chase your dreams and be humble. Having a check mark isn't everything in life, and things may happen for you in a different way years down the line. They don't go in the way that you have things planned. Life doesn't work that way. You have to sometimes like go through different hurdles and obstacles to get to where you need to be in life.
Definitely.
Same for me.
Because that's the other thing is like, you never know like what you will get out of an experience just in terms of like I've had so many like reconnections with people in the game industry that like I met because so okay, like I guess a good example would just be like my time at Curse, because that like I have a lot of gratitude for Curse for hiring me, because I consider that like my kind of big breakthrough, like the break that I was needing to get into the game industry. It was my dream job. It was like a full-time job and everything. But I quickly learned that it was not without its problems. There were a ton of reasons why, like, yeah, it was a good job, but there were a lot of like internal management issues. There were a lot of ways in which I was not really supported or listened to as an employee. And like, it just had its problems, like I think like any company does. But at the same time, there are so many things that I got to do because of that job, and so many like connections that I made that years later, they're like, oh, we worked together at Curse, or maybe they worked for a company that Curse was partnered with and they knew of me, and then they hire me for an event, like, because we've worked together before. And it's like, you sometimes have to go through those like kind of crummy experiences, like almost like paying your dues, I think, in a way.
Facts. Absolutely. And also, just to piggyback off of what you said, this kind of like brings some type of like light to what I'm about to talk about next when it comes to, AMs in the Call of Duty community. I feel like, a lot of amateur players in the Call of Duty community aren't giving themselves a lot of time to, like plant their feet into becoming a professional. A lot of AM players just think that they're just going to sit here and they're going to play a couple games, play a couple tournaments, go to a couple events, and then they're just going to magically get picked up and the CDL and become a pro player. Like, that is not the way things work, guys. Just being real with you guys out there, that is not how it works. Yeah. You have to put time in. You got to put the years in. You have to dedicate yourself to your passion. You have to be passionate about this, because trust me, if you get a foot in the door in this community and you're not passionate about it, you're not gonna enjoy it. Like, simple as that.
Yeah. And honestly, the failure is part of it, because like, look at how many now like pros we've seen compete in CWL or CDL and then essentially drop down to challengers. Like Methods is playing in challengers right now. TJ Haley, isn't he in challengers? He's technically considered an amateur player, when like 2 years ago it was like superstar TJ Haley, like he's like the best, like. And so I guess it just goes to show you, I think, kind of like almost the flip side of like, just because you're in this CDL, like, or just because you're verified, that doesn't guarantee anything. Like, you still have to work hard. You can never just kind of sit back and like, and that's kind of, it's the same, like, just kind of going back to like the alcoholism thing. Like, this is a big like AA thing, is like, you can never, like, no matter how far out you are, you can never just assume like, oh, I am relapse proof, like that's kind of like, you almost have to be afraid every day. Not afraid, but you have to be aware every single day of like, we only have today, like I could relapse tomorrow. I don't know, and like the second you get too comfortable is the second you're at risk of like failing. And it's kind of like the same with like, I'm sure there have been pros who've come through CDL and gotten too comfortable and kind of thought they were like untouchable. And then look, they're not, roster changes happen. It's a crazy world. It's like CDL, anything can happen. Yep,
that's facts. I have another question. So when you stream, no, actually, let's take a step back. Thank you for like clarifying and justifying, everything that we just talked about with that question, around like being verified and talking about like the CDL and stuff like that and becoming pro. And a lot of people really need to stay humble and, just don't think that, things can't happen, because things actually do.
Yeah.
But how long do you normally stream on Twitch? Have you ever done like a 24-hour stream or anything?
I have. So yeah, it was not for a very, very long time. It was back in like 2015. Yeah, it was 2015. And I think it's because I like hit 100 subscribers.
Hey.
So I did like a 24-hour stream to celebrate. But I haven't done that since then. And these days I haven't streamed at all in like 2 months. I'm on like a little break.
Okay.
And like, but so before that, when I was like actively streaming, I would like to go for at least 3 hours minimum. Like if I didn't have like a solid 3 hours ahead of me to stream, then I just felt like it wasn't the point of even going live. So I'd like to go for like three to 4 hours was like my sweet spot.
Is that like a set schedule, or is that like a part of like your routine or anything?
No, because it was always hard for me to keep like a set schedule, as far as like, because like, like, I don't know, my hosting schedule always has to be like kind of the top priority. And I would see other streamers being like, yeah, I'm live every Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, or whatever. And then I would be like, okay, so I can do that for like 2.5 weeks out of the month. And then, there's a Call of Duty event that I have to do, and that's going to get in the way and disrupt it. So then I would always have to like change the schedule. So I just kind of, if I had time to stream, I would, but I never had like a set schedule or anything like that.
That's cool. Yeah, see, I'm at a point where, streaming is starting to become like unhealthy. So I have to find like a good like work balance, because I'm not gonna lie, in the past, I really like was addicted to gaming, and I had a hard time like separating, real life from, gaming. And it happened.
Because it is like honestly kind of like an endorphin rush to like play games and win, know? And then you turn the game off and you're like, oh, this is in real life. I'm not getting points. No one's excited for me. No one's at the top of the leaderboards. It's just brush your teeth and go to bed.
Yeah.
And like, so I can see very easily why like video games would be addictive. And it's also the like, that feeling of progression, like, oh, one more level, or like, level of my battle pass, or like, oh, I have one more daily challenge I got to do, or whatever. Like it can be very addictive.
Yeah. And for me, it was personally, oh man, this guy just gifted 100 subs. I'm making more than what I'm making at my day job. This guy just donated $1,000. I don't have to go back to work. I can just live off this. but that wasn't reality.
So why didn't you though? Because I mean, legitimately, if you're making more money as streaming, then why didn't you make streaming your day job?
Well, I tried before, and I'm a person that fails. I fail more than I win, and I kind of enjoy it because I learn from every L that I take. I turn my L's into W's, and I realized that, you know, it started to be consistent, then it would be inconsistent, and I need stability, you know, just as a person in this world. You know, I just have to, like, you know, man up and take care of my responsibilities first, and then streaming comes second. And I also noticed that you know, the people that would occasionally donate $1,000, this is not like an everyday thing. And at least at work, you know, I know that I can make, you know, a decent amount of money to be able to provide, but streaming on Twitch right now just doesn't cut it for me right now. So
yeah, that's a really good point. Well, and that's something that also, like, so okay, a lot of people, so like one thing I'm really big about is, like, obviously, you know, I have this career that I love, and I worked very hard to get here, and I think what a joy this is. Let me share my knowledge and try to help as many other people get into this line of work as I can. But there's also a lot of, so, you know, and I think there's, and I never really want to discourage anyone. And I think there's a lot of people that want to go into esports and be hosts, casters, content creators. And I think that there are a lot of downsides to that career that people don't really like talk about or think about. And I think that is like the big one that, like, every content creator that I've ever spoken to will always mention the, like, inconsistency as, you know, I guess, like, I know a lot of people who were full-time content creators and who left that life because of the inconsistency, primarily because it's like, unless you are at, like, the ninja level, where Ninja, you know, never has to work again in his life if he doesn't want to. He could decide to delete his Twitch and his Twitter channels tomorrow and still live better than 99% of us will ever live.
Absolutely.
But the reality is, like, most content creators will not achieve that level. And it is possible to make a full-time living and make a comfortable full-time living off of it. But, like, there are seasons for everything, and you cannot ever predict anything, and you can save and you can plan and you can budget, but then something might happen, you know? Like we were just talking about earlier, how Twitch is kind of going in a direction that personally, like, you and I both don't really agree with. So, okay, what happens tomorrow if they come out and endorse something that you and I super don't agree with? You know, like, then I'm gonna be like, all right, well, fuck, I'm never streaming on Twitch again. And then what if your full-time job is Twitch? What if your full-time income is Twitch? Then, like, you have this, all of a sudden, a moral decision you have to make, you know, of, like, do I find a new line of work, or do I continue working for this company that, like, I don't agree with? Like, absolutely. Or even not just that, you never know when you're suddenly a new, or maybe a new type of content suddenly becomes appealing and yours no longer is. And so, yeah, ideally you can, like, pivot and innovate, but there might also be an adjustment period where you're just not really making as much money as you were before. And then again, what do? You know, it's just, yeah.
I agree. Like I said, I had to, you know, just learn how to separate, you know, real life from gaming, and I learned my lesson. Had to learn the hard way, you know, that, you know, a lot of things aren't promised and guaranteed, but you know, for a lot of you guys, really,
nothing is guaranteed. Like, that's the thing that I always, like, I just think that literally nothing in life is guaranteed. We're not guaranteed anything, or like, and I think for me, the pandemic sort of highlighted that, like, you literally never know what is going to happen next. And so you kind of, to some degree, can't really plan, you know, you really have to, like, live your life one day at a time, as trite and cliche as it is. Like, that's your only option.
Absolutely. But yeah, so I know that you work for the CDL. And I don't know if you know, like, show any favoritism or anything to, like, a specific team, but I would like to know, who is your favorite Call of Duty team or organization?
So one of them would be the Subliners, and that's primarily just because of like the storylines there, just the fact that like they have faced so much adversity, and I feel like that's kind of the word that keeps getting tossed around with regard to the Subliners, but they just, I feel like, have consistently been faced with problems, and like Clayster in particular, like I just feel like he is just, God, he has like bad luck or something. I mean, just the fact that even like he's on the team that wins the inaugural CDL season and then he gets dropped. Like he's the player that they cut when it goes to 4v4. And then, you know, so okay, he puts together this like scrappy little team, and then, you know, just it's like obstacle after obstacle, and then like, you know, ASIM is having visa issues. And I just like it's very interesting to see what they're still able to do, and it's still pretty impressive, honestly, despite it all. And then also just the fact that like they haven't really, I just know one day they're gonna have this great like redemption arc where, you know, maybe it's gonna be Major 5, maybe it's gonna be Champs, everything is going to be flawless, and just the Subliners are gonna win it all, you know? And then Clayster will retire. That's my prediction. Clayster's gonna win everything this season and then retire. No, I don't actually think that.
Clay's a beast. He's
never retiring.
Nasty on the sticks. Yeah, he's gonna compete until he can't compete anymore. Yeah. That's what I believe.
Well, just honestly, from the stress of it all, he's at least gonna take like a break.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, but it's well deserved. He's a champion, you know, world champion in multi-titles.
Yeah.
Amazing player, amazing guy. But dang, it just sucks that, you know, Tommy Zuma, you know, like everything with that, and you know, his hands, everything that he's, you know, dealing with.
But then it's so cool that he's like, he pivoted. He is making all this awesome content. Like he was there at the major like filming content for, you know, for the Subliners organization and such. And so like it's like, which is great because like that's really where he shines. Like he was a great player, but he's also got this like great personality, and he's like so kind. So, you know,
shout out to Tommy.
He's gonna land on his feet.
That's my guy right there. I remember one time I was at Champs out here in Ohio, and Tommy walks up to me. He's like, "Whatever you do, man, never give up." He's like, Reef. My name's Reef. He's like, Reef, you never give up. Whatever you do, man. You know how he is, you know, the Italian accent and stuff.
Yeah.
He that was like really cool.
He's great. He's a really good guy. I remember when he was my very first, like, not my first like event, but my first like pro league stretch back in World War II. So this would have been in early 2018, so like January-ish 2018, when all the pro league stuff started happening here in Columbus. And like I was really, you know, kind of tossed into everything and like getting to know all the players and the teams and stuff like that. I remember him and then the other guys on FaZe, which at the time I think was Priesta. Oh shoot, who was it? Crowder.
Priesta.
Tommy. Priesta, as in Zuma, Priesta, Crowder, who went by Replays back then.
Yep.
Oh no, I'm going to think of this, but and Attach. That's who it was.
Oh yeah. Or Celium. Was it Black Ops 4?
It was not Celium. It was World War II. It was I think Celium wasn't in the scene yet. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Zuma, Attach, Priesta, and Replays. Anyway, I just remember them being like so like all the players were nice, but they in particular were like went out of their way to make me feel like welcomed, because it was like my first Call of Duty scene, first Call of Duty like event. Like I was new on the scene, I didn't know anyone, and like they made me really feel like I like belonged there, and they were just like so polite, and I just thought like their parents did a really good job. And then like later on I ended up like meeting a lot of their parents like at events and stuff like that, and their moms are like so nice, and
so
I'm
down
like,
to earth, chill.
Okay, this makes perfect sense. Like I understand how that happened. Good job.
But is there anything that you would like to clear up, like, you know, with your brand and, you know, anything pertaining to you as a person that, you know, a lot of people aren't able to see?
Oh, not really. I don't think so. Like, I think that I don't have too much of an ego. Maybe I'm wrong, but you know, maybe that's an egotistical way of thinking. But like, I like to think I'm pretty modest in terms of like, I just kind of tell it like it is, and I don't try to have too much of like a brand, or like I don't have a specific way that I want people to perceive me. You know, like I want people to like me, but if they don't, that's okay too. It's not a big deal. People have different tastes, different opinions, different, you know? So like, I think there isn't really a lot, like, I don't think, first of all, that I feel that people kind of misunderstand me, you know? Like I said, like, I think I present really like who I really am on social media and such. So I think people have a pretty good idea of like what I'm about.
Yeah.
And then again, second of all, like the people, like the little like trolls or whatever out there that will like say whatever they want, like it doesn't really bother me, because it like they're like, as an example, I just used this example recently, but I think it's a really good example of like, I recently got a couple comments on one of the videos on my YouTube channel, and these two comments in particular stood out because they were on the same video. And one of them was going on and on about how they could tell what a good person I am and how that comes through, and, you know, et cetera. And in the way I present myself, they can tell I'm a good person. And I'm like, oh, thank you, you know? And then another comment, which started off as, the sooner you realize what a terrible person you are, the better off the world will be. And I thought, like, wow, the entire world is like, I didn't realize I was that powerful, that the entire world is influenced. The entire world is like made worse by what a terrible person I am. And I thought, like, okay, well, here are two people that clearly perceive me in two very different ways. This person thinks I'm a good person, and this person thinks I'm a terrible person. And like, at the end of the day, I don't think either of those is true, because I don't believe in good people and bad people. I believe in people. And like, sometimes people have good intentions and good actions, and sometimes people have bad intentions and bad actions. And we all have both. We've all we've all had bad thoughts. We've all had bad intentions. We've all had bad actions. Like, that's just part of the human condition. And so again, going back to like, I'm the only person that has to live with myself. Like, I really don't care as a consequence, like what other people think, because it doesn't really affect me. Like, the only person who I really care about their opinion is like the person that's hiring me to do a job. And the only opinion I care about is the one that pertains to my work. You know, like, they might think that I don't know. I don't even know what they might think about me. They might think I'm like weird socially or something like that. But if they think I do good work, then like, great, you know, or like they might think that I don't know. You just never know. And so I think that like, yeah. So anyway, so I don't think there is anything I would want to clear up or whatever. I think people are going to think what they're going to think. And it's very hard to change the, like, because it's here's the other thing about like being on camera in esports and such, is that like people for the most part are going to have like a preconceived notion of like, a lot of people like to kind of project their ideas of what they expect you to be onto you. And if your reality doesn't line up with their expectations, then like sometimes they kind of have an issue with that. But people are always going to have like this preconceived notion, and it's kind of hard to change that. Like, no matter what I do, there are going to be people that don't like me no matter what I do. Like those, like literally those two comments prove that. There are going to be people that hate me literally no matter what I do. There are going to be people that hate me. And then there are going to be people that love me literally no matter what I do. And like, I'm not going to change anyone's mind. So I'm just going to be me. Absolutely. I feel like that was a very long rant, but
no, it was
you got what I meant.
A well worth rant, honestly, because I feel the same way. I'm like, how do people not like me if they don't even know me? How are people saying these things about me if they never met me before? But the reason why I asked that question is because, you know, just being a fan of Call of Duty, and before I even knew, you know, everyone in the community behind the scenes, I was a fan first, and I would go to events not knowing how to approach certain people, and sometimes people can be a little timid. They might not know if they, you know, you're approachable or not. They might, you know, they might be afraid to, you know, hey, I actually think Jess is a cool person. I really wish I could go take a picture with her, but you know, that's why I had to ask you that question, because you know, for the people like that, they may want a picture or autograph with you.
Yeah. I feel like I come across as approachable though, right? You know, like that's my whole thing, is like, because I never like, because I like, you know, I really enjoy what I do. And it's cool if people like want to follow me, you know, but I never have any like expectations of that. So still, if somebody like asks for like a picture with me or something like that, it's still a little bit to this day kind of catches me off guard because a little bit I'm just kind of like, well, like, why? You know, I'm just doing my job, putting my pants on one leg at a time. You know, like, and not to be like I understand, I guess, kind of like how many eyes are on, you know, esports events and such, but it's still kind of like, I guess, you know, I don't think you should put anyone on a pedestal. And I think that like, yeah, so I think like don't be afraid to approach anyone because we're all just humans, you know, and people that have big egos suck, in my personal opinion.
Facts. That is very like true. People that are egotistical just suck as humans, honestly.
Yeah.
But we're gonna pretty much wrap this up.
Cool.
You know, like I said before, thank you for the opportunity to be able to sit down and, you know, just have a talk with you, answer a couple, you know, cool questions. Is there any place that anybody could find you on social media?
Yeah, I guess I will plug, you know, if you search my name, Jess Brohard, you're going to find every platform that I'm on, which mainly is Twitter at Jess Brohard. I'm on Instagram as well. I am on YouTube, youtube.com/Jess Brohard. My Twitch channel, which again, not super active on right now, twitch.tv/Jess. That's the only one that's just Jess and not, you know, the full name. So, because I've been on Twitch forever. So I got the OG name.
Oh, W. But yeah. Hey, that's going to do it for this interview podcast. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in. Peace.